Hola amigos and amigas, and welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Roundup with Dan O'Neill, powered by our friends at RCG Mortgage. Interest rates are at an all-time low. If you are interested in getting pre-approved, if you're an agent, you need a Save Me deal, if you want to fix your credit, definitely give RCG a call. Thank you for listening last week when I had on Jeremiah Dalton, an investor, owner of Suffolk County House Buyers. The first two episodes have definitely gotten a lot more traffic than I had ever imagined, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you everyone. Today's episode, we are sticking on the investing side of things, but also kind of doing like life advice, just like overall wisdom. So today's guest is somebody that inspired me to get up and do the podcast. Like I said previously, I wanted to do this for a long time, but it was kind of just something where I didn't really care. I didn't really think that anyone cared for what I had to say. I still don't think anyone cares, but now I just don't give a shit. So that really is truly part to you because, you started this, you've gotten a lot of traffic with it, and, it's just fun. So today's guest is my inspiration for doing this, El Judio Maravilloso, Captain Permit, a.k.a. Charles Weinraub. What's up, my friend? Did I get that right?
A.k.a. the Handsome Home Buyer.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's the original. Actually, Charles was the original, but the Handsome Home Buyer was the close second.
The Handsome Home Buyer. So Charles has his own podcast. It's taken off. He does a great job. So this is my inspiration, so I'm happy to have you.
I didn't know that, man. That's actually very cool.
Yeah, well, if you listened, you would have found that out.
Thank you. But the first episode, that's what it said?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you really are. Like, I've always said, too, like, I've wanted to do this since I was in college. I wanted to do one on sports. I wanted to do one I always had plenty of ideas, but, I didn't really think that anyone really had to, like, cared for what I had to say. And now it's more of just like, finally, from winning the top 20 under 40, people are asking me, how I'm kind of having any success. I've only had my license for like 16, 17 months. So
how old are you?
25.
Okay. So, I mean, you're really, really young, man.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff develops, but what you really want to do is, like, you really want to get yourself to the point where you just really genuinely don't care what people think.
Oh, no, at this point, I really don't. I said something last week on the podcast and somebody texted me and, I can start to see that I'm already getting some haters, but I feel like those people that are hating are just jealous because they're not out doing it. Like they want to do something like this and then they sit in the shadows and they don't do it and they never really fulfill what they want to do. And that's why people start to hate.
That means that you're doing something right. I mean, I have people text me like, oh, people are like talking about your videos. I'm like, bro, I don't care. And first of all, if you're calling me up to tell me that, then who are you? Like, why would you spread negativity I don't want negativity in my world. I have this thing on like really bad energy.
Yeah.
So when I was probably like my late 20s, just not like doing it systematically, they just kind of started doing it, not realizing was anybody that was in my life that was really not ultra positive, coming from a great place, bringing me up bringing them up, I just kind of like started cutting them out of my life. And as you get older, a lot of people, but you have a circle of very few people that you really trust and are in the circle. So.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's the case. I mean, I've had friends that I've known for basically my entire lifetime, and I can start to see that like some people are starting to get a little bit weird around me, like, not even because of success, just because like I'm having fun, I'm doing what I want, like I love every day getting up doing this real estate business. I love the energy. I love being able to help people. And I feel like there's some people that are kind of trapped in these jobs that they hate, or maybe they're not happy in their life. And I can start to see that people start to get a little weird. And especially when money's involved too. Like as soon as money gets involved with people, I feel like money makes people the weirdest. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, just if I'm you, I'm focusing on being happy, waking up every day, doing what I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving value to people, being positive, trying to help everybody.
And that's the thing too. That's why I love doing this because I want to be able to provide whatever value I can. Like if I say one thing that resonates with someone, if I have one guest on that helps somebody pursue their dreams or passions or advice, then this is all worth it for me. Yeah. And that's the overall goal too. Is I genuinely love helping people. And when I was younger, I didn't know how I was going to get into a business where I could help. Mm-hmm. And now it's I'm helping with people's basically their biggest transaction of their life. The biggest investment, essentially selling or buying.
Absolutely.
And on the flip side of this thing too, like I want to get into the training aspect. I want to get into helping other agents or people that are just getting started because I mean, as you know, the fail-off rate is probably like in the high 80%. Yeah. Like 8 out of 10 or something like that, I think fail off as an agent on our side of things. And I think that's just due to like poor training, not knowing really, where to start and kind of just getting thrown right into the wolves.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. I mean, I think also in general, like we live in an instant gratification society. People to a large degree are lazy. And it's like, and I mean, I blame the school system in a certain respect because nobody really teaches you or tells you what it takes to be great at something. So if you want to be truly, truly great at something, you got to be willing to sacrifice, to bleed, to suffer emotionally. Like, it takes everything you have. You have to have like this delusional view of the world where like you see your goals being achieved 5, 10, 20 years down the road when everybody is like, you're nuts, you're nuts. Like, I heard that my entire life. You know, to segue into the investing thing, when I was originally told people I'm gonna flip houses, it was like right after the crash. I was like, I'm gonna start getting into this, and people were like, you're nuts. Like, you're nuts. One of my largest investors today originally told me not to do it.
Really?
You know, everybody told me not to do it. My family's always very, very supportive of everything I did, but at the same time, doing what I do, while I think anybody can do it, it's very outside of a lot of people's reality. Even like, so I grew up in Wantua. It's like an upper middle class place. By national standards, it's a very well-off area. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in East Otago, so kind of the same thing.
Exactly the same thing, right? But when you think about it, how many people that you grew up with are really doing something great? Like, you're stretching, growing on a daily basis, right? Trying to be outside the box, living your dream. How many people do you know are actually doing that?
To be honest with you, not many that I grew up with.
Exactly, and listen, and it's not, we're not talking bad about anybody, it's not
No,
that,
of
it's
course,
just that when I grew up and I was looking around, I didn't see anybody that was doing anything truly, truly great. So to go out and say, I'm gonna go buy one house and I'm gonna buy it for X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I don't have, I'm gonna find a way to do that. I'm gonna get the education in order to do that to make sure I don't fail. I'm then gonna renovate it for this and sell it for that. It's just a concept that I think even my parents looked at me kind of like, we're supporting you because that's who we are. My parents are amazing, but they're just like, you're gonna do what? And that even carries over today. Like, I'm doing a deal right now in Oceanside. I just got this piece under contract. It's 3 acres, and we're gonna build a massive development there. And even now, like, people are like, bro, you've had all this success flipping houses. Like, why are you going to school? Like, why are you going to NYU? Why are you, gonna...
So for those that don't know, you're getting your master's in development, right? Or...
So I'm getting my master's at NYU in real estate development.
Okay.
I've had a lot of formal real estate training that's non-conventional that I've got over the last couple of years. And obviously I've done a tremendous amount of transactional deals. So I have the on-the-ground real estate. But I'm always growing, always stretching, always learning. I will go to school and learn in some capacity forever. I actually want to go back. I was speaking to one of my professors is the head of the undergraduate program there. And we're discussing writing a class at the undergraduate or master's level for me to teach 1 to 4 family investment real estate to NYU students.
So do you have did you get your bachelor's? Did you go away to school or?
So I went to, so growing up, I was like, I have ADHD to the max.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
like,
you can tell I can't even sit still.
Like, and I had like.
That's why I move so much.
I was diagnosed it back in, like, today it's, I mean, you have a ton of energy, so I believe it. But today it's like, oh, the kid's not paying attention. He has ADD. Give him a pill. Give him a pill. So I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I've never been high. I've never smoked a cigarette. Nothing.
Wow.
And I think this is the reason why. So when I was 12 years old, I had a lot of disciplinary problems. I was constantly getting thrown out of class. My parents were constantly up there. And I just had a lot of energy. I had one professor that understood me, my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Smithy. She used to be like, listen, she opened the side of the door. She would say, run around the building. Real talk, run around the building until you burn it off and then come back.
So you had ADHD.
You give me sugar, you will literally see me start to like, my voice will get faster. I'll start like twitching. I have, even now at 39, I have a ton of energy. So they tried to put me on Ritalin. So I took Ritalin one time and it turned me into like a zombie. So after that, I would fake it like, I had to take it in the morning and then at school at the nurse's office. So when they weren't looking, I would just throw it down the drain.
Oh shit.
And I think that had such an impact on me about what like drugs could do to your body. I just never wanted to put anything in my body again.
Really? So I mean, that's even alcohol too. Like you've never been drunk ever, not once.
I've never been drunk. I haven't had a sip of alcohol in 100 years. I've tried it to see what it tastes like, to know that I think it tastes like shit. But I don't come from a family that drinks. And again, like, never smoked a cigarette, never smoked weed, never done any pills, nothing.
And the crazy thing is too, is like as I get older, like I see a lot of the people that I grew up with, again, people that are my age, like a lot of people are out partying. If I even go out and have like a couple glasses of wine, the next day, it's not that I'm like physically hungover or I'm miserable, it's just like, I'm not the same, I don't have the same energy level, I'm not as crisp, I'm not as sharp. So if somebody calls me and has a question or anything, I feel like I'm not 100%, if that makes sense. Like I'm like 70, 75%, like mentally. So I used to go out when I was younger. I managed a restaurant, so that's, the hospitality industry. Everyone goes out, everyone does everything. So it's amazing for me to see like how I used to be and like where I would go out, and I didn't really.
I can see you doing that.
Yeah, well,
I can see you doing that.
Thank you. But I'm saying like back in the day, I never really thought about it. Now like if I'm gonna go out or something, or if I'm gonna go out and have a couple of drinks, like I know that I need to be 100% mental for the next day, and I need to be sharp and on top of things. Because if I'm not, like it's.
And you're only 25. Like, I'm not gonna say it gets like crazy hard, but like it gets hard. I always joke around. I'm like, listen, when you hit 30, you kind of feel like you lost a quarter of a step. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I already feel like that.
And
I feel like I'm 100 years old. Trust me.
And then when you hit 35, you're just like, shit just starts to break.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, whatever hair you had is gone. Then you have hair coming out of places that you never wanted it to. Like my earlobe had like a 3-inch hair.
Oh, I know. I heard that on your podcast.
What's going on here? And then I hear at 40, it's just downhill.
Just gets worse and worse. Oh,
but I think maintenance is really the key to life.
Yeah. So did you go away to college?
No. So I went to net. So I never really wanted to grow up. I just wanted to surf and bum around as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I went to Farmingdale for a year, and I hated it. And then halfway through that, I realized I'm like, you know what? I might have to grow up one day, so maybe I should just stop not going to class and get my shit together.
Yeah.
So I went to NASA for 2 years, and then I went to Hofstra. And again, I went to school just to go to school, and I did well, but no direction really. Like there wasn't anything that I really loved. And I didn't really learn a lot at any of those places.
So after college, then you started working at the auto body shop, correct?
So after college, so my father owned a Mako in Brooklyn. Like I'll better get Mako on TV.
Yeah.
So he came to me one day and he said, "Listen, there's a location on Long Island. That's already set up to be a Mako, has been shut down for many years. I'll lend you a small amount of money. You pay me back, and we're gonna be partners. But at the same time, like, I'm not gonna be there with you. Like, you're gonna do this. And
You're
on
your own, yeah.
I'm like, do I want to do this? And fear of regret in sales. Fear of regret is the biggest motivator. So I did it as a result of that.
Yeah.
And that was an unbelievable experience for me. I owned the Mako for 10 years in Hempstead, which I always say I grew up in Hempstead. Like I was born in Brooklyn. I was raised in Wantagh. Wantagh is a bubble. Long Island is a bubble. It is not the reality. Yeah. When you're in Hempstead at 23 years old, owning a business, dealing with people.
You're 23. That's wild.
People. I mean, my dad. I mean, I have to give all credit to him for that. My parents were unbelievably supportive my whole life. So I got bullet holes in the windows. I got guys. I mean, all true shit. I got guys fresh out of jail, ripping their shirts off, threatening to shoot me and everybody that works for me. You're dealing with used car dealers, taxi owners. Like you're in Hempstead, bro.
Yeah.
Like Hempstead is not the garden spot of America, especially 20 years ago. So I grew up there, and I learned a lot about people. Plus, I'm 23 years old with no business experience really, and I am the boss of 35, 40, 50, 60-year-old people.
Yeah.
So my dad's partner came in and worked with me for a little while. He's a classically trained salesman. So I'm really blessed. I've had 4 unbelievable mentors in my life.
Wow.
But he's a classically trained salesman. So he sold Electrolux vacuum cleaners door to door in the 70s. And made like 80 grand a year doing that. Anybody that you can just think about that. That's insane.
Yeah.
How do you basically charm your way into some lady's house to sell her a $300 or $700 vacuum? That's what it was back in the 70s. So he had studied Zig Ziglar, Tommy Hopkins, and he trained me the art of selling, which is kind of a lost thing today.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you are owning the body shop.
Yep.
What kind of did one day you just woke up, you weren't happy anymore? Like when did you finally say okay, you know what, I'm gonna go start flipping houses, I'm gonna go start investing, I'm gonna go basically change my entire career path, taking a massive leap, because if you don't flip a house or you don't get any projects or you flip something, you can stand to lose a ton of money. Then you have investors that are coming after you. So I mean, what kind of finally made you just wake up and say, I'm just gonna take this massive risk?
So, I mean, there's a couple of points that I think people need to take from this. So, A, I never loved being in the body shop business, but B, I am wired a certain way. I have an addictive personality. Part of the reason why I don't drink or do drugs.
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, I get bored easily. So my thing is, I like to master something and then move on to something else. That's the way my personality is. Like, I don't do what I do for the money. I'm wearing probably $20 worth of bad clothing on sale. I don't care about the Ferraris, the cars, any of that stuff. I love the challenge of just everything. So I never loved being in that business, but I had a successful business.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to rebrand Mako, so I wanted to build the better version of Mako. And I was partners with my father, and we're very different people, and I think a lot of people, like, there comes a certain point in time where you really have to get outside your comfort zone. I believe you have to do that every day, but
Very true.
if you're in a family type business, I see people that are in a family type business and it's easy and they kind of like fall into that groove and they stay there. For me, it was very important to get out of that. So I realized at a certain point that him and I had different views on business and the world, and that his reality is not my reality because he's 67 years old, and
Well, his vision may not be the same vision that you have for the company. So yeah, I mean, I understand that.
or just in general, like our visions, the way we see the world is different. We're different people,
Yeah.
and that's cool. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. So I realized I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I have to sell this and move on.
Yeah.
So I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 27.
Read it from listening to you.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice. So at 27, I read it and I was like, I'm going to be a professional investor. Now, how the hell do I do that?
Yeah.
So I ended up taking a one-day intensive at NYU on foreclosures because it was right after the crash, and everybody thinks when they get into real estate that foreclosures are the way to buy investment properties because the banks are just giving houses away. They don't care.
At the steps.
Obviously, we know that's not true.
Yeah.
But during that, the professor said, you should join the local RIAs. So do you know about the RIAs?
No, I don't.
So RIA stands for Real Estate Investment Association. They have them all over the country. They have them on Long Island. I joined East Coast RIA, which meets in Levittown at Domenico's once a month.
Okay.
So the first time I went there's a gentleman named Les Jansen, who has since passed, who was one of my original mentors, who ran it. And then he handed it over to a gentleman named Carl Chavone. Do you know Carl Chavone?
No.
So Carl Chavone is a realtor. He's a performance coach. He teaches at LIBOR.
Really?
He's an unbelievably brilliant, supportive man. And I trained with him for like 3 to 4 years before I ever did a deal.
Really?
Yep.
What? Holy shit.
People think that you can just watch a TV show or
Oh,
a
yeah, I
video
mean,
and do it.
100%. But 3 or 4 years, man. Wow. So you were still working at the body shop while you were training with him, or did you?
So I still had the body shop.
Okay.
I was training with him because that's the thing. Like, I'll take a risk, but I have to learn enough about something.
Yeah. Okay.
You learn enough so you know you're not going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
And then you jump.
Yep.
And you figure the rest out while you're doing it, but at least you know you're not going to get crushed.
So did you wait until you had like your first couple of transactions to finally make like the full-time jump and kind of get out of the body shop, or?
No. So yeah, no, I don't work like that. So I bought the first house. We flipped it, proof of concept, and it was interesting because that gentleman was like, "You can't do it, kid. You can't do it, kid." So I call him up and I'm like, "I don't have any money." I was like, "I'm gonna buy it for this. I'm gonna renovate it for this. I'm gonna sell it for that." He goes, "You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen." So I literally bought it for that. I literally renovated it for that, and I sold it for that to the dollar.
Wow.
I remember the moment I got that call, and I was like, "Proof of concept," and I'm like, "I did it," and he goes, "You got lucky."
Yeah, of course.
So I did it a second time, and he's one of my biggest investors today.
Wow.
So
Did you have construction background? Like, did you have GC work?
I don't know how to hammer a nail.
You hear that? So you can flip houses, you can invest, you can do whatever you want without even knowing how to hammer a nail.
No, I have a very specific skill set. It's called being a businessman.
Yeah.
I can't paint cars either. In my opinion,
That's
being,
really cool.
or do body work, I can't.
Yeah.
In my opinion, being a businessman is the most valuable thing because the act of what you're doing isn't as important in the sense that you can hire people to do that. But structuring a business, managing it, marketing it, setting up standard operating procedures, payroll, all the financing, that is an art in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like the thing with Captain Permit, like, I
Yeah.
can't draft. I mean, I know about permits because I've gotten in trouble more than anybody, I think, because of the volume that we do. But I can't draw. I can't use AutoCAD. I can't do any of that stuff.
Okay. So then you get into this. So now you get out of the auto body business, right? Eventually, so you sell that. Now what?
Well, I did it right away.
Oh, you did it right away. Okay.
I had that second deal. I said, that's it. I'm done. This is my life.
Okay.
I put the body shop up for sale. I knew that the money from those 2 transactions would float me through an entire year. So I'm taking risks, but they're also
they're
calculated risks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just like, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of did the same thing too, and then so I had probably a couple months worth of whatever saved when I got into real estate.
Yeah.
But for me, it was kind of just like I needed to change, so it wasn't as calculated because, as you know, you do a deal, you make a little bit of money, then all of a sudden, a couple months later, now you wait for the next deal, that money dries up. So for me, I wish I could say that I took more of a calculated risk, but I was also 22, 23 years old, so it was kind of tough to do that, but
You know what it is? I think people have to, when you really look at the root of all of it and you cut the bullshit, especially when you're young, like if you're in your 20s, I don't think there's an excuse to not take a risk ever. I mean, I understand people have families and all that stuff. I get it. I'm not downplaying that. Like in your 30s and 40s, okay. But if you're in your 20s and you have any kind of support system, like, bro, if you bombed, what's the worst thing that happened?
Yeah,
you go back and live with your freaking parents.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Bro, like that's the way I think every day. I'm like, if this thing doesn't work, if this 120 unit apartment building I'm about to build doesn't work, and it all goes to shit, I'm gonna go back and live with my mom. She's gonna do my laundry, and she cooks her ass off. And I go there and steal food anyway. So I'm like,
me too.
I'm like, I'd move back in a minute if they let me. But my mom's like, yo, you're not gonna be Uncle Ummy. You're not gonna be 40 years old living in this freaking house. It's not gonna happen.
That's so funny. Anytime I show a house or I have like a listing appointment or anything, like in my hometown where I grew up, I go back to my mom's house, open the door, I steal all of their food, I'll eat like their leftovers, and I'll leave. She'll call me like later in the day, be like, what's wrong with that?
Like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
So obviously, I mean, you've had success, a lot of success in the investing side of things. You obviously took a calculated risk that wound up panning out tremendously. So when was it where that you finally said like, okay, now I'm doing the investing thing. Now I want to start doing content. Now I want to start doing the podcast. You know what I mean? Like, what was there something else that kind of was just like, I have a great personality. Like, I want to put this out there.
It's not. So it's a bunch of different things. Back to my heart. I think it's very important that everybody understands like why they do what they do.
Yeah.
So I get bored. I need to be stretching, reaching. Like if you're not growing, you're dying. It's that simple. It's stereotypical, but it's that simple. And I'm always looking for just like fun, interesting things to do. So I start seeing the podcast, and I'm like, oh, but actually, a friend of mine, Valerie Lampoon's Elephant Networking, she brought me on her podcast, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm like, I'm gonna start my own podcast.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I mean, I got Audacity, which is a free program. I went out and bought a $199 mic, and I just started bringing people on that I wanted to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't really listen to my podcast. I don't even know how much of a listener base I have.
I can tell you just from like rumblings, like, so one of my buddies, the way I heard about you was one of my buddies, it was actually your Mike Murphy interview.
Okay.
So I was playing golf with one of my buddies, and he like loves like Mike Murphy, wants to get in business with him so bad. So he like brought up your name, like just said he heard Mike on your podcast, and Mike said something, I forget what it was. It was like a really nice slogan.
Bigger isn't better.
Yes. So my boy Pete, who like can't get in touch with Mike Murphy. Mike Murphy's a legend. Like the guys you never get in touch with.
Did I meet him at that event?
Pete, I think you did. Yeah, the tall guy.
Peter Craig.
Yeah. So Peter Craig comes up with this brilliant idea to make a T-shirt for Mike Murphy.
Which I did the same freaking thing. I was like, bro, really? That's my podcast. That's my thing.
That's so funny. So he did that, and he sent it to Mike Murphy, and he actually got a call from Mike Murphy.
Nice. Very smart, though.
Very smart.
To him, bro.
That's what I'm saying, but it was because of your podcast.
That's awesome. See, he's better than me because I made that for Mike, but it's in a box still in my office. I haven't brought it over there. But that's very smart. That's what you got to do.
But that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, your reach now has gotten to a point where, I mean, my buddy Peter Craig's watching it. Like, I know a ton of people, and it's cool to see how, you started this, 2 years ago, the podcast?
Yeah.
So it's cool to see now, like, it's taken a while for it to really kind of, I guess, take off and get listeners. And I think it's even cooler that you don't even really give a shit. Like, you don't even listen to it.
Your motivation for what you do has to be pure and genuine. Like, here's the thing about content, bro. I'm preaching. So, I'm not like this guy that's been doing content for 100 years. Yeah. I just started really increasing my production quality 3 months ago when I started working with my buddy Matt Our Visual.
Yep.
So, he's the man.
Yeah, you guys have a funny relationship, too.
I love it. He comes in and it's just like him and I. Like, we're having an awesome time. But jumping that production quality the way you're doing here with this gentleman will really take you to the next level. But you got to be doing it, and you have to be genuine. Because if you are full of shit, people smell it, bro. And they're not interested in that. There's a lot of people that are putting out content just to put out content that aren't giving value, and most of them are full. Like, a lot of them don't even know what they're talking about. So have a pure motive.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing too. Like my girlfriend was asking me. That's the only reason I even really know how many. I didn't watch mine either. I'm kind of. It gives me crippling anxiety just to even see myself on camera or even hear my voice. So I don't listen to these. I probably should start.
You got a pretty good voice though, bro.
Thank you. My dad told me, my father told me that I said too many times and I haven't slept in like 3 days. So whatever. So, but that's my thing too. I'm generally doing this because if there's something that somebody can learn from it, then it's a home run. And I generally enjoy doing this. Like it's fun to me. Like I'm gonna have on Bacchus. I know I'm gonna have a great time at Bacchus. Like me and you, good vibe and energy.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Bacchus is freaking hilarious.
Yeah, no, you gotta let me do it first. Come on.
You got it.
No, but so that's my thing. Is this is genuinely fun, and I'm interested. Like I love hearing about how people got started because all the like mega successful, even the successful people, everyone has like a genuine, like an awesome story, and I love hearing that from people that I work with, people that are my colleagues, like listening to your story. Everyone that, you know, if I'm selling or helping them buy, everyone has a story, and I find it so interesting just to hear like how they kind of got into the business and what, you know, if there's like a turning point or how they finally got to where, you know, if they had a job they didn't like or they hated, to finally like loving what they're doing, continuously growing. And I think the content thing is just like, it's a home run, and you're killing it too. I mean, dude, you have the perfect personality for it. You got the following now, and you're putting out high quality content. Like even the Instagram videos, the stories, everything. Even your little even the little Instagram stories with your buddy Matt. Like that's funny shit. It's funny shit.
You know what it is? It's like content is vital in my opinion, because the way, as I get older, I see like the way everybody communicates is very different. Even myself, when I think of myself, like if I go to search for something, I'll actually go to social media to search for something.
Yeah, me too.
People use YouTube and Facebook and Instagram as like a search engine now to a certain extent. So if you don't get on that train, come 5-10 years from now, when that's like the preferred means of communication, you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
And you don't have, it takes time to build all this stuff up. Like if you want to do anything, you have to be willing to, like, it's a process.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things, like I know, I'm like, the process for being successful is exactly the same regardless of what you do, whether you're selling houses, renovating houses, building apartment buildings, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Once you understand what that is, you can apply it to anything. But the process is the process, and the process takes time. So you have to commit to that. You have to be attached to the process, not to the outcome. You say, okay, I'm going to get the education. I'm going to do this. I have to go through this pain period, etc. It's going to take me X amount of years to get there.
Yeah. My thing was too, when I first got started, I mean, I went into this business knowing that, you know, there's a curve to it, right? 6 months, there's a year curve. You're not really going to make any money when you first get started. Granted, I got lucky because I was out door knocking. Like I was in my class, I was in the online class, and I was still door knocking. So I had my first couple listings before I even had my license.
Smart.
And then, but I didn't know what I was doing. So it was crazy. I sold like, well, I mean, that's the thing. So like my first couple months, I faked it until I made it kind of thing, where I didn't know what a binder was, I didn't know what a pre-approval was, I didn't know anything about anything, and I was selling a couple houses. So it was kind of remarkable. But at the same time, I was constantly educating myself. I was constantly doing all the things that I needed to do to make sure that, okay, you know what, let me make sure that these first couple months are my pain period where, you know, maybe I'm not making any money and whatever the case, but I want to be able to get over that and educate myself and be smart enough or you know, have the knowledge to 4 or 5 months in, not have to deal with this year curve. Like I jumped right into it thinking like, this is sink or swim. I'm not moving in with my parents. I'm not sleeping on a twin size bed. Shout out my mom, I love you, but it's just not happening, you know what I mean? So where some people, it takes like a year to get started really. I mean, granted, I wanted to quit so many times. I had deals that were under contract, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh wow, you know, I got a couple $1,000s coming, like I've never seen this kind of money before, and then all of a sudden I get a call from the attorney that I was using, and he's like, yeah, the deal's dead. And I get my client on the phone like, you know what I mean? So it was, I had deals die and I wanted to quit so many times, but I thank God every day. Like I'm so grateful that my pain period and that little like, you know, that threshold that I had 1 foot out, 1 foot in. I was gonna quit and then I didn't. I'm so glad that I experienced that in my first couple months in the business instead of being like 2 years in, like holy shit, you know, I'm in my 30s. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, you know, is McDonald's hiring? So I'm glad that I got that out when I first got my license, if that makes sense.
See, no, of course. The concept is very simple. It's like this. It takes X amount of hours to be great at something. The harder you work, the more hours a week you spend, the faster you get good at something.
That's very true.
Right? So the problem with a lot of people is this. A, they don't want to put in that time. Or B, during that period of time, they're just like, they get frustrated and they give up.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. If you just understand that it's going to take me X amount of hours to be good at this, I have to put that time in. If I do it 100 hours a week, I'm going to get there faster than if I do it 25 hours a week.
Yep.
And that's the difference between hyper-successful people and people that aren't. A hyper-successful person is working their ass off, while the less successful person is out partying, getting drunk, doing whatever. Now, I'm not telling you not to have a good time.
No, 100%.
Understand, there's 24 hours in a day.
Yep.
It's that simple.
It's pretty funny too because when I left the job that I was at and I told my family, I always remembered saying, like, you know, if I'm putting in 80 hours a week, making the same amount of money every single, you know, whatever week or a month or a year, if I put even 60 hours or if I even scale that down and put a little bit less than half into real estate, then I know I'm going to be successful. And my parents were very supportive, my family was, but they all kind of looked at me like crazy, like, why are you just going to get into a business where you're not going to make any money, it's commission-based, blah, blah, blah. There's, you know, a long time, you got certain people like Michael Artolino, who's in my hometown that I grew up in. I mean, he sold my mom's house 30 years ago. Yeah. And if I did the 50, 60 hours like I do now, maybe even a little bit more, I knew that it was going to be a fast curve, and I was constantly educating myself too. So whether I was working 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., I would get home and instead of go out and party or do whatever, I would be sitting there like watching little Tom Ferry YouTube videos, like just trying to educate myself. So,
bro, it's people like to complicate everything in life. Everything in life, in my opinion, is really simple.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is.
So I got to ask you, and I've had everyone on so far, and I kind of stole this question from you. So 2 things. What is your daily schedule like, your weekly schedule, and then I'll do the second part after.
Okay, so
daily schedule.
I'm not a very organized, regimented person. I wish I was better at it.
Okay.
My daily schedule is complete and total pandemonium. Like
controlled chaos.
It's not even necessarily controlled. Like I always tell people, if you think you can do anything, like you can have a plan, that's great. But if you think you can do anything other than like ride this thing from the moment you wake up, so I usually get up at 6:30 in the morning. I wish, like, I want to be Brian Karp. Like, I want to get up at 3:30 a.m. and just lift insanely heavy weights as I just go about my day. He sends me pictures at like 3:30 in the morning of like a 500-pound squat rack and he's ready to start ripping them out.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, but I go from the moment I wake up. Like, I don't own a TV, don't watch TV. I go, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I have this personality, like, I need to be in a state of chaos all the time, or I feel like something's wrong. Like, I'll walk in and talk to my CFO and be like, bro, I'm not really comfortable right now. Like, it's a little mellow. Like, we didn't buy 30 houses this week. Like, the world isn't coming to an end. Like, I feel like I need to function in a state of chaos all the time. So I'm always, like, trying to put myself in that place.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was at school last night, till 9:30, I get on a train, I'm home at midnight, I slept 6 hours, I'm here.
Right back here, wow. That's impressive. I mean, I think that's really cool too. You're getting your master's. Like, most people wouldn't do that, especially if they're already successful. Like you said, I think it's the board thing too. Like, you're constantly wanting to educate yourself and improve on your craft.
Yeah, I mean, I always want to learn, but it's interesting that I learned this. When did I hear this? When I was
did you like school? Because I never really.
No, I freaking hated school. Bro. They were throwing me out. I got in-school suspension for giving Mrs. Johnson the finger in 7th grade. Like, I was a disciplinary nightmare.
Yeah.
Just because I had a lot of energy. Like, I mean, I just think schools in general are failing people. Just failing them because it's just not set up to prepare them for anything other than being factory workers. Yeah. That's a different story. So yeah, it's just, but, so what was it? There was a band, Coldplay. So Coldplay was like, when Coldplay just came out and they were like 20 something, I remember hearing that they like won all these awards and then they hired vocal coaches. For some reason that like stuck in my mind. So it's like, yo, Charles, you went out and bought 67 houses 2 years ago, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna go spend $100,000 on a NYU education because I can always get better.
Yeah, of course.
And that education has changed my freaking life.
Really?
And it's interesting because the professors there, they'll meet me and they'll be like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I have what, 60 houses, 89 houses left. You're like, what are you doing here?
You should be teaching, yeah.
They're like, no, this is what they actually say to me, which is crazy. They're like, one professor actually said, you will not be any better when you leave here.
Really?
When you came here. And I was like,
that's kind of an asshole thing to say, no?
People don't affect me. Like, here's the thing, and you definitely know this. Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
And when you're doing non-conventional things, people are going to be telling you that you're wrong or whatever, or that you're nuts. I've been hearing that my entire life. That doesn't impact me at all. Even that guy. Bro, every moment of every class, I am freaking sucking in gold. Like, I'm going to open a private equity fund within the next 2 to 5 years, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I've gone through this path, and this is a vital part of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And I think the last question I had for you too is work-life balance. So you always talk about work-life balance on the podcast.
I don't think it exists.
I don't think it exists either. Not in this business, right?
It's, you know what it is? It's not that. Work-life balance is like, people like to look at it as, yeah, I'm like working, but then I'm with my family and all this. Work-life balance, the definition of that is different for every person.
Yeah.
I don't work, bro. I love what I do every minute of every day.
That's very true.
This is my hobby.
Yeah.
You know, doing this stuff is my hobby, and the key is to align yourself with people, and especially like relationship partners or life partners that understand that.
Yeah. That's very, very vital information. I like that. Last thing I have for you is what would your advice be for somebody that is looking to get into the business, maybe looking to get into investing, just looking to get into to stop what they're doing if they don't love it, you know?
So if you go to work every day and you don't like what you do, like, you need to plan to make a change like now. Life is too short to be doing some shit that you hate. Like, if you are literally like, can't wait for your vacation or this or that, or can't wait for the end of the day, like, you gotta make a change right now, man. But
you heard it here. You gotta make a change.
You do. But that's easier for some people than it is for others.
Yeah.
Are you asking me like specifically investing? What my advice would be?
Yeah, what would your invest be for investing, and then just in general, like if somebody, how would they get started in investing?
So whether it's investing or anything else, there's a process to it all, right? And the first process starts with education. Start having conversations with people. Reach out to your network. Sit down. Have lunches. Have dinners. Listen to podcasts. Watch YouTube videos. Get a general education. Then put a plan together. Write the plan down. I mean, I'm not great at writing it down, but I store it in my brain pretty well. And then follow along with the plan. Now, the plan can change. I always tell people, just don't be stagnant, bro. Don't not do anything. If you don't do anything, I guarantee you nothing's gonna happen. But if you do stuff, you're gonna fail. You have to. Like, failure is a vital part. But once you start moving, you're gonna be like, oh, this door's open. I was gonna go in this door, but I see this door. So boom, you're here. And your life will evolve and things will happen. Life is beautiful, bro. It's about experiences. Like, we're so lucky to like be alive and be able to do what we love. Like, it's awesome every day.
Yeah.
So just fucking enjoy your life.
Just fucking enjoy your life.
It's that simple. Like, don't go to a job every day that you hate because you think you're supposed to have kids and you think you're supposed to get married and you think you're supposed to just do this and that and have your 1 week vacation. Do what you love. Because at the end of the day, it's this simple. This is dramatic, but I have a flair for the dramatic. We're all going to be freaking dead soon. Really. I mean, we have time. We're young. You're very young. But in the grand scheme of things, you're like, does it really matter if I fail at this or I go broke or that girl rejects me or whatever? Like, I'll be fucking dead soon. It ain't going to matter.
Yeah, it's very true. I like that. That's a good piece of advice right there.
That's my thing.
Where can people find you? Where can they find the podcast? Instagram? You want to give like a little
plug? My IG is handsome_homebuyer. The captain is captain_permit. Charles Weinraub, WEINRAUB on Facebook, or Handsome Homebuyer, Captain Permit. We're on YouTube, Spotify. We're pretty much everywhere, bro.
This podcast is gold.
I appreciate it. Yo, I'm really flattered, honored, A, that you'd have me, B, that I had even a small impact on what you're doing right now.
You had the 100% impact. I'm telling you, you're my 100% inspiration for doing this.
You're doing great things. I mean, at a very young age, you're already there. Like, you're on the cusp of, like, what I always say is, like, I'm running around the office, I'm like, Mark! He's like, what? I'm like, Mark's my CFO and one of my oldest friends. I'm like, we're on the cusp of greatness, bro. We're right there. Like, we're right there. You're right there.
I appreciate that.
So keep pushing it.
Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate having me on. Or, I'm sorry. Fuck. Damn it!
That'll be the outtake.
I think he should end it. He's such a fanboy. He's such a fanboy. Come back.